Today's Cleveland Browns report is sponsored by Hexclad. It is time for you guys to up your pots and pan game with Hexclad. They've got the best dishware for the dog pound. Plus, they're giving you guys 10% off when you use our exclusive link, hexclad.com/chat, and promo code chat at checkout. More on that to come later on in the show. Now, speaking of today's show, we are going to look at 3 trade candidates that were brought to us by the fine folks over at Bleacher Report. And we'll break each one by one and kind of go through whether or not it's realistic and give my takes and analysis on it. So let's start with their first trade candidate. You probably could have guessed it before you clicked on the article or clicked on today's video. Surprise, surprise, it is the boogeyman, if you will. I'm not quite sure why, but I know I'm guilty of it too. Anthony Schwartz, the former third-round pick out of Auburn. I was looking at his Wikipedia before filming today. I was forgotten about how many great track and field records he holds. It's too bad that never translated over to the football field super well in the NFL once the pads came on. But it has not been a glamorous first few seasons in Cleveland. Just 14 grabs through 25 games so far. He ended last year on injured reserve with a concussion, and to me, it kind of sounded like one of those fake IL stints, if you will, for all my seam heads out there, where you're not really hurt, but the team doesn't really have a roster spot for you anymore. So we're going to stick you on IR for the next 6 or 7 weeks. My question is this. Who's calling for Anthony Schwartz, right? Who's calling for a guy with 14 career receptions? Sure, a former third-round pick, and that looks flashy and whatnot, and he's got a tremendous amount of speed, but why not just wait for him to be released, right? Every single year, teams go through this song and dance during training camp where Team A has an injury pop up and everyone starts looking at other teams to trade for. Well, they're probably just going to wait for a 53-man roster cut down day and get Anthony Schwartz then, because he's not making this roster, in my opinion. So far in his career, 33 targets, 14 receptions. He's more or less responsible for Baker Mayfield. I mean, if Anthony Schwartz runs the correct route against the Texans, we live in a very different universe where Baker doesn't throw a pick, he doesn't injure his shoulder trying to make a tackle, and Deshaun Watson's not in Cleveland. So we do have Anthony Schwartz to thank for that. But if they do end up finding a trade partner, maybe they get a future 7th. And I'm not even being too harsh, because N'Keal Harry, a former first-round pick for the New England Patriots, he went for a future 7th to the Chicago Bears around this time last year. So that's really the best outcome Cleveland's going to get. And maybe a team does call and offer a 7th, and the Browns go, we'll take it. It's better than nothing. But this wide receiver room is jam-packed, and I just don't see a way Schwartz makes the roster. Other teams know this, so they will likely just wait for him to be released if they really do have a hard-on for him. But which Browns player were you wrong about, right? Which guy were you so adamant that he was going to be the next star, and it just didn't work out? I'm guilty of being a believer in Johnny Manziel. I was pretty anti-Brandon Wheat, so I will have that on my tombstone. But let me know which Browns player you were just dead wrong on. Number 2, Harrison Bryant. I'll buy a beer for anyone wearing a Harrison Bryant jersey guy, because I'm a big Harrison Bryant fan, but I think this one has some more legs to it than Anthony Schwartz. So, former 4th-round pick out of Florida Atlantic back in 2020. He's coming into the last year of his contract. In fact, the Browns and Bryant agreed to kind of rip up the last year of his contract and make a new 1-year contract with more guaranteed money, which would think cement him on their roster. But unlike Anthony Schwartz, what it really signals is we're not cutting Harrison Bryant, right? He's got $1.75 million guaranteed. That's not a ton of money, but we're not looking to just eat that money for no reason when Harrison Bryant's a good player. So if you want him, don't wait for him to be released. You'll have to trade for him. So this one pains me to say, but it may happen. I think of the 3 guys we're going to look at today, it is the most likely outcome of most likely trade candidate, because he's got some guaranteed money, so I don't think the Browns are going to release him. He's a good football player, and it's just not a good room to be in for Harrison Bryant with David Njoku and Jordan Akins sitting on top of him. First, a quick word from today's sponsor, Hexclad. They have revolutionized the cookware industry with their awesome pots and pans. So let me tell you guys all about them, because it is time to get rid of those dirty dishes in your roommate's sink and get your own elite cookware thanks to Hexclad. They have this awesome hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, plus the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, along with a lifetime warranty just in case you somehow find a way to destroy them. So use promo code CHAT at hexclad.com/chat for 10% off. Now, if you don't believe me, you don't have to. That's no big deal. We've got the chef you might have heard of saying some awesome stuff about Hexclad, Gordon Ramsay. Here's what Chef Ramsay said. The sear I get with these pans is incredible, with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using Hexclad at home. Yes, chef. So don't just take my word for it. Like I said, celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay uses them at home too. I'm not quite sure if he throws them around his kitchen, but if he did want to, I'm sure Hexclad would be great for it. They are the sexiest pans on the market, so you can score some points at home as well. So stop ordering delivery food and start cooking at home like a big boy with Hexclad, because real cuisine is not made in the microwave. It's made in a Hexclad. So for a limited time, you can get 10% off when you use our exclusive link, hexclad.com/chat. Use promo code CHAT at checkout, and they're going to give you 10% off on the best pots and pans in the dishware industry. That link's in the comments and the description of today's video. Like I was saying, David Njoku and Jordan Akins are the top 2 tight ends on this depth chart. And if Harrison Bryant is going to be tight end 3, if an injury were to pop up in training camp to another team that comes short at tight end, I am sure they would start making some phone calls, and the Cleveland Browns would be towards the top of that list because they've got a really good tight end 3, right? There's not many tight end 3s out there that have 7 career touchdowns, right? Harrison Bryant's stats aren't super flashy, but Jordan Akins was signed this summer in free agency for a reason. Him and Deshaun Watson had a good connection down in H-Town. Akins had 5 touchdowns last year. Cleveland doesn't have a very clear and dominant red zone target until now, at least with Akins. At least that's the plan. So Harrison Bryant has been good, but he's probably too good to be a tight end 3 on the Browns. So if a team were to call Cleveland because they had an injury at tight end, maybe the Browns would give it some serious thought, because when you look at the Browns' 2024 draft picks, still without a first, that belongs to Houston or Arizona. I'm not quite sure which one. But they have a second, they have a third, and then they have a 5th, 2 6ths, and 2 7ths. They've had some day 3 picks moved around after the Zadarius Smith trade. I think they would like to add more picks to this room right here, because they are not going to be as splashy and active in free agency next year. They will simply not have enough cap space to do so. So they're going to have to build through the draft, and adding some more picks without a first is definitely beneficial. Before we get on to the third and final trade candidates, our July sub battle. Quick update for you guys here. The Browns report and the Steelers talk are currently tied for first with 23 subs. The Ravens, they are way behind us. They are not a concern anymore. 13 subs. Usually the Ravens blow elite. This time, they didn't even get the lead. But shout out to everyone who has subscribed so far. Let's take down the Steelers channel this month. Hit that subscribe button. Third and final trade candidate via Bleacher Report, defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. Everyone's favorite player, right? This man is just lucky to be starting in the NFL after last season, and we don't know if he's going to be starting for very long, right? Former third-round pick coming out of Mizzou has not lived up to the expectations. He started all 17 games last year, and PFF ranked him as the 118th best defensive tackle from 127 qualifying players. Now, like Harrison Bryant, the Browns restructured his contract a little bit. They guaranteed some of the money to lower the cap hit. To me, that signals they don't plan on cutting him, right? Why guarantee $1.5 million in June just to cut him in August? So they are sending a signal to the rest of the league. If you're waiting on us to cut him so you could sign him, don't hold your breath. It's not happening. But if you want to throw us a pick for him, he wasn't very good for us last year. We'd be dumb not to at least listen to the offer. This is what Jake Rill from Bleacher Report said. He's a solid player, but it may be time for the Browns to give somebody else a chance to start on the interior of their defensive line and see if they can get a bit more production. Elliott might bring a decent return in a trade Because of that, it's something Cleveland should even more strongly consider. I don't even think the Canadian Football League is calling for Jordan Elliott. I mean, Mr. Real completely outed himself as someone who did not watch a single snap of Cleveland Browns football last year, because if he did, he would know the Browns had one of the worst run defenses in the National Football League, and Jordan Elliott was right in the middle of that. You look at his numbers from last year, 36 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. They don't look bad, but the eye test tells you something very different, and that was Jordan Elliott is not a starting defensive tackle in the NFL. Right now, he is at the top of the depth chart, at least in my opinion, for the Browns, when we look at the Browns depth chart, because Perrion Winfrey has some immaturity issues, and I'm just not quite comfortable with putting him in a starting role. Siaki Ika, the rookie out of Baylor, is just that, a rookie. And then you got 2 other guys to keep an eye on here, right? Maurice Hurst and Tristan Hill, both players with very different backgrounds, but could have a potential spot on this roster. I'm not quite sure if the Browns are ready to turn that second defensive tackle spot next to Dalvin Tomlinson over to a rookie in Ika, an immature player in Perrion Winfrey who's gotten in his way more than one time, and then Maurice Hurst, who's unfortunately never really been able to stay healthy, and then Tristan Hill, a former day 2 pick by the Cowboys, who more or less released by Dallas due to a lack of effort, a lot of people in the Big D said. So there are some, bugaboos with each one of those players, and I'm not quite sure if Cleveland is ready to go that direction, because Jordan Elliott definitely didn't look like someone who deserved to come back as a starter after last season, but he may be their best option. I think we might see Ika take over that starting role at some point in the season, but I don't know if Cleveland's ready to hand it over to a third-round pick for week 1 against Cincinnati. Now, before we get on out of here, who do you think is the most likely to get dealt? Anthony Schwartz, Harrison Bryant, or Jordan Elliott? I think it's Harrison Bryant because he's the best of the 3, and I just don't think a team's going to call for Anthony Schwartz or Jordan Elliott. So if a tight end somewhere else in the league gets injured, I'm sure that team will have some interest with Cleveland and getting Harrison Bryant over to them. But I would definitely be a bit bummed to see Harrison Bryant go. As always, we wrap up the show with our favorite segment here, Pick a Card Time. Now, we do have 2 new guys here at Chat Sports. So we're going to give it up for Tyler Smith, a St. Bonaventure grad from middle of New York, just north of New York City. And then we got Jake Chipper, a Philly guy who went to Clemson. So, Rolly, how funny would it be if the 2 new guys got a card on their first day?
I don't think it would be funny at all.
I think it'd be pretty funny.
I don't think so.
I think it'd be pretty funny.
But I guess since they are producers, we
It's
are going to go 3v1.
Yep.
So we're going to have 3 shots to beat you here, Petey. You're up, what is it, 1-0?
1-0.
So we got to even up the series. Smitty, we'll start with you. What's your card?
We'll go 6 of diamonds.
So we got 6 of diamonds from Smitty. Chippy?
Go 8 of hearts.
8 of hearts. I'm going to go Queen of clubs.
Queen of clubs. Interesting. That's what Coop picked, too.
I like this.
So
I like
6
this,
of 6 of diamonds, 8 of hearts, Queen of clubs?
Yeah.
Okay. So all of those 3 cards against my... Every time I play with Rolly, it's low.
It is a 2. It's
so
a 2 or 3 every time.
I'm going to do my homework here. It's a 3 of spades.
I like that number.
I think that was like... All right, ready? One last cut for good measure.
Oh, that's bullshit.
One more?
No. Whatever.
King of hearts. Rolly was off the rim.
Dude, I was thinking king, but I don't think I would have won hearts.
King of hearts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day. If you liked the video, then literally like the video, please. Subscribe, turn your notifications on, and we'll see you guys later.